So will Liquid grab Coddle? This is, I think, one of the first times that we've seen Coddle not banned in first phase. Night Stalker is also banned.
There's Clockwork and Nyx. Yeah. Both are available. Both the counter picks are available for
one of the first times that we've
for that.
Like, one of the first times that we've seen Coddle not banned in first phase. Night Stalker
also creeps onto Pash's face.
And if you're Liquid, you might not want to go for it here. Because I think VP is not a team that wants the Coddle, so you can afford not to pick him here, and you pick him later in the next one, and you see what they have. If there's no like counter pickers for Coddle, then Coddle becomes a really good pick. Then you pick it in the second.
Now let's not forget Void has a 90% success rate.
I would not have thought that. I would not have really considered a first pick Void coming out in this one.
But it's Liquid though. They like to run Void.
They do like to run
Void Invoker. So
it enables like so many of their strats, whether it's going to be Invoker or Elder Phoenix Titan. Or Elder Titan. There's a lot of different ways they can do it. Yeah. And it's pretty safe opening as well. I mean, you can there's counter picks and stuff, but Void will always do okay.
See him there. Of course, Matumba Man does have his family present all the way from Finland and now sitting in the crowd in Moscow. I'm a sucker for a storyline, and that certainly is one. Not only could he do it, but you could have the, whatever it is, 7 people cheering against an entire crowd.
They left all of, Pasha's heroes. The big Darkseer and the Magnus, so he gets the Darkseer right away. And that's like, the Darkseer that VP plays around is actually, in my opinion, their best.
If Liquid does the safe lane Void, oh no, the laning phase is not going to be so good for him against the Darkseer. He's going to need a lot of help in that lane, because Darkseer is really, really annoying for Void.
And they'll pressure him with something like this too, right? With Lil, like perched up on him with Pasha.
They took a long time for that pick though, because they usually pick the Slardar, the Darkseer Slardar combination, but this time they go for the Sand King. I think we talked about it a little, the last game where Slardar got a lot of nerfs and teams have not been favoring the hero as much, and Sand King got some buffs this patch.
I think it's a better combo against Void, because Sand King's stun duration is over 2 seconds, which basically nullifies Void's time walk benefit. So that alone gives you a lot, not to mention he has better damage output.
And matches team fight. You know, they're already playing versus Void, and I think they're probably assuming the Invoker is going to come up, so have that. Strong.
Wombo combo.
Yeah. We did say it was probably going to be the battle of the Invoker for them, so they get it right away with the Void.
So, they are, based on their past games, when they pick Invoker, they ban TA, mostly. TA and who's the other hero? Matchup-wise, I think TA is one of the ones that give Invoker the hardest time.
They do give Miracle what he wants the majority of the time in this draft.
I mean, they do ban like the Dragon Knight here, like the synergy with the Darkseer, very good. Iron Shell and Dragon Knight is something that is pretty scary if you're like playing very fast-paced Dota, and they keep running at you because you're running like a Void strat. Void strat tends to be much more slower pace, Void Invoker.
Yeah, having like the Darkseer with mech with Dragon Knight just can run you over, and you can not get set up for that late game. Like Matu kind of mentioned in that interview that he was saying, he's like, yeah, like LFY plays very fast paced, but VP is also one of those kind of teams that punish.
Oh, if only we had a microphone in that arena.
They're probably very loud.
If you're confused with what they're doing, they're slowly chanting VIRTUS Pro based on one person's tempo. That's what they're doing.
Did you just analyze a crowd chant?
No, they did the same thing at Kyiv.
Yeah, no, it's definitely spread across.
VP, give yourself more credit, Kevin.
In the end, did remove the Elder Titan. Not wanting to deal with it.
Especially after the way that My Control played it the other day. He had a very successful game.
I think they did this because they know that they probably want to do an aggro duel lane. So if it's just like a squishy 5 support, you can definitely be bullied by Elder Titan right now.
I think also like the Elder Titan allows you to stall the and you just constantly stalling the game out with this Elder Titan. It sets you up to go for the later game, and VP wants to keep that aggression going.
Yeah, basically it's like the perfect hero for the other two cores, because he's a very cheap hero in the sense that he doesn't need too much, and he has wave clear, has team fight.
Yeah.
He's what the 3 cores need to balance everything out.
Yeah, I spoke to Misery just yesterday. He was saying that it's going to be one of the most hotly contested in this patch, that Elder Titan. Believing that's the one to keep your eyes out for as time progresses.
VP just picking back what they're really comfortable with.
Very good versus Void too.
They're probably the best team at playing Disruptor, I want to say. Like, their Disruptor is probably the most scary one.
Why is that? Just utilize it correctly?
His glimpse is... Sometimes you can actually mess it up. and he's really good at obviously positioning. Disruptor is a hero that relies on positioning a lot to get your glimpse off, so that's why. So now it makes sense, right?
And now it makes perfect sense. Yeah, it slots into what we were saying earlier about Solo and his positioning.
So and their combo, like the Darkseer Disruptor combo, that they love to run this one. In Kiev, we saw them get like a 5-man combo onto IG, and it was like absolutely explosive in the game.
Yep. So Liquid go for Oracle. Oracle, the Darkseer counter. In some ways, you get to remove the.
It's really good against Darkseer in lane. It's like a hard counter. There's ways you can play around it, but it's not good for Pasha.
What's going to be Pasha's options then in terms of laning?
Kill them instead.
Mostly if you're Darkseer, you're up. If you're not going to get any help against Oracle, you just like try to jungle from the start of the game. You get maybe a few levels, level 3, level 4, then you consider your options again after that. Do I want to go back to the lane now, or do I keep jungling? Because most of the time where you jungle for 1 or 2 minutes, you get your level 3 around there, and then you have to look at your mid. If it's the mid getting poked a lot by the supports because you're not in the lane, the supports are going to be free to do whatever they want.
I think the Oracle isn't just like it's great for the lane, of course, for Darkseer, because it's going to be Darkseer sanking, so you can remove like the Ion Shells off both of them, but versus the 3 heroes that they saw from VP, it was all magic damage, so Fate's Edict can just completely negate like everything that they did have going.
This pick as well is another Darkseer counter. It's very annoying because of the Carapace, the mana burn, and you have Invoker, so another hero that can set up kills with the Sunstrike. Fairly good pick here for Liquid.
Yeah, it like messes with the combo that we're constantly talking about. Like if you use your Carapace on the vacuum, you completely mess up everything that kind of like can come out afterwards with that from VP.
The scary thing about Liquid's draft as well is, to me, it looks like they have 3 of some of the best heroes in the meta right now, and they're all on their team: Void, Invoker, Nyx Assassin. High win rates, very effective for their team. I think VP's draft does fit well though.
Invoker draft, basically.
Yeah, it's a very Invoker draft.
For
Sunstrike
VP,
setups.
They went back for the Troll. Troll is a hero that, success rate wise, not looking too good.
Yeah,
it's been picked a lot. They won't have a Magnus. I mean, they could choose to have a Magnus, but I'm not sure whether they do it. They might actually do a mid Troll here. I'm getting a feeling Troll mid might be possible here because Troll mid does quite well against Invoker in the first few levels. You have very good damage over him, like high damage.
What's the thought process behind this constant Troll popping up across this tournament, despite the low success rate? Is there no alternative to his particular role in the setup?
It's effective against a lot of matchups. It's very good at pushing towers. It's safe at pushing towers. You do counter a decent amount of heroes. It like forces people into like weird item builds sometimes.
Right.
And generally, I wasn't a big fan, but just even watching the VP highlight reel, they had some really effective looking Troll moments. It also farms pretty fast, even if the lane is a bit iffy.
But I'm not a big fan of Troll if he's not with Magnus, Io, or even like the Ogre, like any of the buffing heroes. I think Troll is a hero that he needs to farm a lot. You need to give him some steroid because he takes a long time to farm up his crucial items to be very strong. So that's the thing that I worry about the most when I see a Troll pick, and I always think about whether they can still fit in one of the steroid heroes in the game. But right now it seems like it's not that easy for them to fit in. Okay, so
Oracle Pudge, we've seen this before.
Oracle Pudge and
GH Pudge again.
Yeah.
So that puts the Nyx to off lane.
Yeah.
So laning wise, they have a lot of kill potential level 1 to kill the Darkseer in the lane.
Yeah, they can chase him down easily. And Pudge is going to be effective if VP does do a glimpse into Static Storm combo and they can hook that person out.
Oh yeah,
fight's over.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Like,
that's how they use it.
Very, very good against the Disruptor. And you have a BKB piercing stun, another BKB piercing stun against the Troll. Troll is a hero that he's going to rely on his BKB to run around and deal damage in the fights. So there's that for them.
Ursa.
So Ursa is mid against the Invoker.
Yeah. This is a very Ramses actually takes it. This is a very VP lineup, exactly. It's very early aggression, and I would say that Liquids is a little bit greedy in a way, like with a Void Invoker as your 2 main cores. Pudge as well. It's very reliant on getting Sunstrikes for the Invoker to do well for the middle lane.
And the interesting thing is that it was kind of a similar draft with VP playing against EG, where EG had all these team fight skills. They used them, VP went to Roche, and EG was barely able to defend it and end up taking Roche themselves. So it might be a little bit of a repeat from that last match.
Oh, I know. This is inspired some excitement for us here on the desk, but I do need a prediction from you all. I'll work down from Kevin.
I'm going to go with Liquid, I think. I feel like they're going to be able to play around Roche, especially with Pudge, and the matchups as a whole are good. They got all the heroes they wanted.
Excited to see some Pudge in action for sure. What about you, Fog?
I never want to go against the Miracle Invoker, but I'm going to go with VP. I really like their early aggression and their fight around the Roche pit as well. They have on 3 heroes and then great Roche potential from there too.
Oh, a split desk. Testament to how close this game will be for you guys.
Very difficult to call, but I think that ultimately my decision will be because I don't really favor Troll that much as a hero without steroids, so I'm just going with Liquid.
Okay. Doubt perhaps a little for VP's draft, or at least 1 or 2 of them. It's going to be exciting nonetheless. Your casters, no doubt, are going to be revving their engine as they prepare themselves to jump in to Virtus Pro in front of a Russian crowd. Let's go.
Thank you very much, Alex. That's right. We are live here in the heart of former Soviet Russia. Ben, the VTB Ice Palace. It feels like the entire crowd is pulling heart and soul for VP. If Screams could win games, this one would already be over. But fortunately for Liquid, they get to play Dota.
I'm glad you're loud, or else I wouldn't be able to hear you at all. This crowd has just been yelling for the last 3 or 4 minutes.
We heard basically nothing from the panel, except Winter did come through clearly. There was a moment of silence for him and his analysis, and doesn't like Troll without a steroid. Do you echo that sentiment?
I agree. I think it's much weaker without Magnus, and it's going to struggle a lot versus the Disarm from the Oracle, the 2 BKB piercing ultimates that we see on Team Liquid.
All right, let's see how things unfold. Liquid did get a nice little cheer when they picked the Pudge. Of course, most famously popularized by none other than Dendi, who is beloved throughout CIS. So perhaps GH can win their hearts, but for now, Team Liquid facing quite literally the Russian bear, VP on home soil. Looks like nobody going to make an early aggressive smoke. We have seen a bit more of them this event, but to get some wards down here, VP dropping one over towards the Liquid defensive, what appears to be a tri-lane for now, starting the Pudge over on the bottom side.
I'm trying to figure out which Virtus Pro player they like the most. I think Solo has the loudest cheer.
He's certainly got the most interesting story, does he not?
Interesting.
Dubious. Early harassment here on Miracle, though. We'll see Lil dual laning, wants to secure that lane a little bit.
This is one of the most important things that I think a lot of teams struggled with in the tournament when playing versus Liquid, and how Liquid did advance into the playoff stage, is just giving Invoker a free lane is not something that you ever want to do, and Lil already trying to keep the Invoker in check.
Yeah, we've seen some teams like really committing to protecting their mid lane. I'd say most of the successful ones, like EG comes to mind, where at times Sumail would just have a full-on tri-lane because teams were trying to dual lane against him, trying to gank him. He'd have supports camping behind him. So I wonder, does Miracle get that help? For now, GH was hoping for a first blood set up bottom, hides in the trees for a while, but it seems Pasha is wise to that because of that ward that was placed earlier. He was just hiding, farming in the jungle. Now GH going to rotate off the lane.
I think this is a pretty tough game for Pudge in the middle, or in the early game. He's really struggling to. He's just getting the bounty right now, just walking around trying to find anything to do. He's 0-0. You can't really harass against the Ion Shell. This mid lane is going pretty terribly for Invoker.
Lil goes for Courier Snipe pretty much every game right now. I can't recall the last time I've seen him not attempt it, and it's almost regardless of what hero he's playing. Is setting up here towards mid. Courier, though, not coming anytime soon. Looks like it's actually going to go bottom. We'll camp out, probably look to snag a rune.
See both 4 positions mirroring each other. Lil stacking the camp on the left side while taking the bounty rune. GH mirroring his move on the opposite side. And both safe laners feel pretty safe.
For now.
For now.
Yeah, I mean, there's Sunstrikes that can be thrown out here that both of these supports excellent roaming threats, and that could change quickly with GH. Snagging an Invis Rune. No one's at a pretty dangerous HP threshold. A Miracle does have the mana for a Sunstrike. Cold Snap can be invoked momentarily. Liquid looks like they're about to go for a first blood attempt here on the mid lane. Will no one be ready? Started off with the Rot. GH gets active. Now Miracle coming in. Has the Forge Spirit and the Sunstrike to summon. Drops the Sunstrike completely off the mark. Good juke by no one. Gets back to the tower on the way to safety. Only a level 1 Pudge, so no points in the hook as
He
of
knew
yet.
exactly when that Sunstrike was coming. I'm not sure if he was like clicking on the Invoker to check his mana, but he knew like the exact second that it came out, he moved to dodge it.
It looked like Miracle maybe didn't have mana for the Cold Snap and an extra Invoke required as well, so with that, kind of a tough kill.
He was in a pretty good spot too. He was close to his top of the hill, and Cold Strike plus Rot could have done it perhaps, but then he wouldn't have Sunstrike after that, and even then it would not have been a guaranteed kill.
And all supports seem to be carrying teleport scrolls in this patch, and at least in this tournament, so you have to be wary of Lil TPing in, maybe Solo a bit less likely to do so, but hold that thought in the mid lane. Lil marching in for now is just going to start sandstorming the creep wave, trying to support no one as best he can, but obviously Sand King doesn't really offer all that much for zoning potential in the 2v2 against this Invoker. GH will have a fish, he's off the mark, but Miracle doing some good damage here to no one with that Cold Snap. A hit hook, and that might just be a first blood.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty straight shot for him.
It's one of those things where it looks absolutely awful if no one just stands still or jukes the other way, but if he backs up at that moment, all of a sudden GH is hitting a godly hook and you're calling him GH God.
I'm sure he's used to being camp mid as his quest to...
Winter was telling us he had the experience of teaming with no one, and no one was not pleased about getting camped in his pubs. Yes, there were some crybabies being spent. VIRTUS Pro. I love the way they say it.
I wonder what the Russian lines are. They added some Russian lines in game.
I read the translations. I'm not sure how accurate they are. One of them was just like ah ah ah. I mean, I'm not doing it justice, but that was basically what they wrote out. So I imagine it was with a pretty high level of excitement and energy.
They sound much less exciting than the English ones. Good job, LD.
Thanks, Ben.
You secured yourself a spot.
They may have been getting excited about more appropriate matters, but you know.
I don't think they have as many iconic ones as the English cast.
English.
Maybe you're just that.
English. Let's see if we can prevail here in the realm of Dota, though. Are you nervous about your show match?
Yes, because I think their average on Mars is probably like 1,000 higher than ours.
It's okay. I believe in you, Ben.
Yep. And we won't have the crowd for us.
Yes. But we'll try harder. That's what us English folk do.
We have better in-game voice lines. Take that.
Oh, yeah. Just taunt them with them. But now they actually have some in the game, so it's a little more even. GH did go for the hook here mid, but Lil Cambion, again, this is what I mentioned. It just seems a lot more common in this patch to go for these multiple support heroes stacking in mid. They try to burst down no one. Miracle doesn't quite have the firepower, and with the Pudge zoned away by the Sand King.
I wonder how triggered no one is right now.
Survive.
With just Pudge constantly throwing in hooks, Oracle coming in to cancel his clarity, just throw Purifying Flames, just non-stop harassment out. But he does get a little bit of help from Solo, 2 bottles, and a full bottle carry onto him, so that's pretty much full HP.
In theory, those pubs should be excellent training for this sort of thing. But they have rotated Solo. And Solo is often very reluctant to leave that top lane, really prioritizes getting the early levels so he can make plays the Disruptor. But he has come towards mid to try and assist. We haven't really talked too much about these side lanes. Matumba Man basically free farming to match him on his Faceless Void. Ramsey's doing very well on the Ursa. So all things considered, Ben, fairly even in that department. The big discrepancy is that Mind Control is not getting farm. Of course, Darkseer much better at CS and Pasha at 26 already.
We do have our first death. It is GH. He did die to neutrals, though. That is something that you don't want to do on Pudge. He was trying to...
But they might find a real first blood here. Mind Control calling out in the river. Burrow Strike comes through. There is a kinetic field as well that's going to buy time for Ramses, who looks to get in range. The hook whipping a bit, and now reinforcements arrive as VP have a quad stack here. Will GH get another self-deny? No siree. It is VP with the first blood and make it the second blood too as they take down Mind Control. Missed the hook there, but hitting the hook may have just cost them an extra life anyway.
I don't know if you actually want to bring these
heroes
in close.
Sunstrike with the Chronosphere, looking for Pasha. Do they have the firepower? They do. Matumba Mana, timely bash nets him the kill.
Yeah, level 3 bash. Pretty good. Pretty good. More reliable disable than GH's hook at the moment. He's not really connecting when he needs to. He's struggling. He is level 3. At least he has Crinkles, but they need to be able to set up more kills with him. Nyx Assassin soon to be level 6, so they can proceed a little bit more forward in this early game, but I don't know if their pace is going to be fast enough. They're dealing with an Ursa who has almost had complete free farm. He was participating in those early kills, so they can do Roach very, very early on.
And VP want to push that tempo, Ben. You could see the rotation now. Solo, Lil, smoking up, marching on mid. Not the highest level, but they'd love to take down Miracle. Great bait by no one, though. He's baited so well that he might be too far away to assist. They're going to try to set things up here with the kinetic field. Now Solo getting second thoughts, but no one commits. The meatball rolls through, immolating VP. They're going to lose Solo. They do get the trade and change, but again the deny. Lil also took down Kuroki. It's going to be a third, most likely, with a timely bash. No one decapitates the Invoker. It was a great two-hero Meatball, but they just didn't have the follow-up firepower.
Meatball's not very good when everyone is running at you.
They just tanked it.
They'll only take like one hit of it at the moment.
Yeah, didn't have a teleport scroll on mind control. Matumba Man, they also knew the chrono was on cooldown. So I really liked the timing there by VP, seeing that those crucial fight-turning abilities and heroes not available, they punish.
And more importantly so, I think it's still the timing when Invoker's very poor. You need to shut him down before his Midas. He's going to go for a pretty late one at the moment. He's still about 14 of the gold away.
A Swain and another miss. Dendi would be disappointed with this Pudge start, and now GH might actually be in danger here. Going to be slowed down a bit by Pasha, fishing with the ranged axes, not quite able to connect, but so far Pudge just struggling to have an impact, and later on, not as reliable as, like, say, a Sand King Ben in most scenarios. So if you're not getting these early kills, it does beg the question, how much will GH be able to offer the team later on?
He will be able to get a lot of solo picks. I think that makes Pudge a lot stronger when he can go for the hook into Dismember into Sunstrike. That is a very easy combo for them to set up. Occasionally, you'll see the Pudge.
Mind control, getting Glimpse back here, going for the TP out. Solo already committed the Glimpse. Not able to maul him fully. One more auto attack would have done it. Gets out in the meanwhile in the mid lane. Chrono committed and a jump onto no one, but no one very tanky, very difficult to bring down. They dive for him deeper. Sunstrike way off the mark. A complete airball. The hook also wins. It's all VIRTUS Pro here. Liquid on the run. They've been completely shut down. No detection for Miracle. Thank God if you're a Liquid fan, as Matumba Man's going to duke it out with Lil in the river, but that is not a kill for him. So, again, Ben, just not really able to connect on these critical spells.
Exactly. We talk about ease of execution in lineup a lot, and this is one that seems easy, right? Chronosphere into Invoker combos, but they're not able to hit as many spells as they would like, and just a lot of missed spells just coming out from Liquid. And they are hard to hit.
Yeah, and especially in that mid lane, I didn't actually see if, like, Sunstrike was off cooldown. Maybe he was too close to another hero that he was trying to hit, but the timing just hasn't been working out for Liquid. And with the chrono down, you have to imagine this is where VP looked to get aggressive. They did it last time with the smoke.
I think they're playing very well, though, with their team. Like, Darkseid was the one there to surge the troll immediately out of that combo that they were trying to set up. And that's what made all these spells difficult to hit. When someone's hasted...
this is a big opportunity for mind control. Dire Scan is not going to reveal that Nyx creeping about, but at the same time, he's not going to find anyone just yet. He can try for Ramses, but Ramses is quite tanky here with the infused raindrop. Will they have the damage to bring him down? Feels like they need a +1 or a perfect combo on the Ursa. Ramses just a bit too tanky for mind control to feel confident about this go. You can see VP are also congregating mid.
Both teams are kind of roughly feeling out a smoking perhaps towards the mid right now.
Yeah, and they're very close to the static storm of Solo, and generally when VP get that, they do make a play. They know Chrono's on cooldown for 20 more seconds, so the window to go for a free kill is closing soon. Overall thoughts here on the laning stage? Did you, like, expect VP based on their lineup to have this kind of advantage, Ben? Is this just more Liquid failing to execute, and you know, how easy is it for Liquid to come back into this game?
Liquid should have had a better mid lane. They committed 3 heroes there for the majority of the early laning phase, and still Evoker does not have his Midas yet. And Troll, he's supposed to have a lot more Des than he actually does, but he is 2-0-3 and on top of the net worth right now. So I would say this early game going way better for VIRTUS Pro.
They've got the static storm. If Lil hits this 2-hero burrow, it's disastrous, and the bait has been set on the bottom lane. Pasha there. Who do they go on first? It's a Faceless Void. They're trapped in the thunder. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Matumba down, and with him goes Kuro. VP, a masterful trap sprung. They even bring in Ramses, but They hardly needed him.
They know the pressure's on Liquid. Liquid right now, they need to make plays with the Chronosphere into the Sunstrike. Any one Sunstrike kill would have given him his Midas maybe at 10 minutes instead of 12, 13 like we're looking at right now. And they know that they just need to create space for the Invoker, but everyone's just dying around the map.
GH next on the list. VP just mowing Liquid down, getting hero kills and towers on top. Vlad's already complete on Ramses. Tier 1 will drop.
And it's really tough for Liquid. Even if they get a good fight with a Chronosphere, they have to worry about the immediate smoke play or just walk into Roche play from Virtus Pro after. And the items are probably lined up sinking very close to this Blink Dagger, 90 gold away. So Liquid have to deal with these threats coming from multiple angles. Ursa, Roche, stronger team fight, and the Blink Dagger coming out from sinking. They need to be able to protect their jungle, protect their Invoker so they can get a Scepter and delay the game into the later phases when BKBs are lower and when Ursa starts to fall off. But
oh, the aggression's only going to ramp up from VP. Yeah. Look at this. Lil with the max burrow strike, level 7. Blink already secure at 13 minutes. Long before Mind Control can even think of getting his is the off-lane Nyx, in theory, the 3 position. So it's a slow lineup, as as was touched on by the analyst panel. The Void, the Invoker, they want to farm a lot. They want to slow the game down.
And they're showing
VP want to play fast.
They're showing their kill heroes too. Mind Control was pushing top solo, and then they just saw Muntaba Man, and he got glimpsed back.
They're moving on mid. Miracle, could he be in danger here? Detection coming in, I believe, as they look for the jump forward onto Miracle. Ramses to start it off, but the Ghost Walk. Back to safety. Lil was somewhat in the neighborhood with the blink. Instead, he's going to head towards top. He might be able to turn this gank that Mutumba Man's going for. Static Storm into a burrow. All of a sudden, Mutumba in danger here. The Epicenter revved up, but he can time walk this off potentially. It's only on cooldown for 3 more seconds. Mind Control coming in, not in time. Now he's got to run away. The back's there as well. VP are swarming, surging onto Liquid. 3 down as the Nyx 2 will drop.
What a sandstorm coming out from Lil. I did not think they were going to be able to catch him without a dust or another sentry.
They're just, it's all 5 of them, Ben, ready to fight. And Liquid, they have a, for now at least, Kuroki, Oracle not able to get involved. Miracle just trying to farm. It's 5v3, it feels like.
Virtus Pro are congregating around Liquid's kill heroes. They're migrating every time they see the Nyx in the Faces Void. They're going towards that side of the map, knowing that that is where the fight is going to happen. And that's where Liquid are going to try to bring the majority of the heroes. And their team fight's way stronger. So they're going to fight any fight that they can, 4 on 5, 5 on 5 if you count Sunstrike, but Invoker still not going to be there for some time. Smoke play coming out from Liquid. Chronosphere is up. They haven't used it in a very long time. He is going for a Lincoln Sphere first build, but
the Shadow build.
They are not going to farm their way back into this game.
But as Mutumba Man, the Bachelor, to get the job done, he will get off the Chrono here, gets glimpsed back, Sunstrike coming through, will secure Miracle a kill. Like the type of kill that when he's had a good game is just like every minute or 2 he's getting one, but it's been such a long time, so desperately needed for Liquid, but feels like they need a lot more still.
That's pretty much the iconic death for VP. Smoke gank into big ultimate onto Solo. This happens so many times, and Solo is really, really good about just being in the line of fire. He takes one for his team all the time, and now they have a very big window where they can Roche. 100 seconds left, and then
so if VP want to commit to that Roche, perhaps this is the ideal time. Also a blink ready for Ramses.
They would ideally like this mid T1 tower to be taken down so they can either smoke around it or just go into the Roche pit right now, and that's exactly what they were waiting for, Chronosphere to be used on some inconsequential hero.
Into the pit. They're going to put Ramses there for now. Meanwhile, if no one keeps the pressure rolling mid, tower down to half. With the DD rune to commit, this Roche will melt. And all the while, Lil holds the top lane, so VP not looking for a trade, looking for a clean Roche take, no objectives sacrificed in return, and they will get it too.
No deny on top though.
Extremely fast Roche lineup. And as you would expect, they grab the Aegis uncontested.
Invoker is getting relatively big. He will have a Scepter completed in about 17
setting
minutes.
Up on top now. Lil looking for that Blink Burrow initiation.
No one's there.
Really wants to start with the Epicenter and catch Mind Control pre-Spike Carapace, but a bit too far away for now.
Oh, Mind Control is going to pop out right now. There could be Epicenter that Lil is looking for. He's setting it up right now. Blink.
Oh, is he going for it? He sure is. Hits him with almost the entire combination. Didn't have the Darkseer any longer, so bit of a missed opportunity there for VP.
He thought that it would be enough, but he is not quite level 12 yet.
Kuro getting absolutely massacred by Ramses in the middle lane. forced to try and stay alive with the false promise. And it looks like it will keep him in completely fine fighting shape, but also now down, so VP still feeling confident to push forward.
Net worth lead is not that bad for Liquid right now. Invoker and Pudge are really good at stalling the high ground if it does come to that. Troll is a decent tower hitter, but when it comes to T3, it's a completely different story.
Then you're just setting up for Liquid to find those hooks to potentially initiate with the Nyx from the side. VP don't really have like the best high ground sieger. Troll is decent, but as you mentioned, like given the Liquid lineup, he's likely getting jumped if he's in the front. So they'll go for the hook, and they find Ramses as well, pulling him onto the high ground. He is the Aegis Barrier, gets chain stunned down, will fall. Now time for round 2 with the Static Storm committed from a Tumba Man from behind. How'd he get caught over there? They need this Void to stay alive. For now he does. Kuro with the end. Looked to keep him alive, but wasn't enough heal.
These chain of events from Virtus Pro are really excellent. Like they're baiting out the Nyx assassin on top, and then he's not there for the teamfight mid. They used the false promise earlier to save himself, and now everyone's just
marching on to mind control. Void down for 15. No buyback available. Surging on to Kuro. Decent job with the deafening blast. Miracle trying to prevent this aggression, but Ramses simply too fast and too hard hitting will bring him down as well. Matumba in deep. Needs the time walk it out. He won't make it. Death to the Bear Claws, and VP just like that, kicking it into overdrive, going straight for the first lane of Rax. 18 minutes in, they're not messing around. The Sunstrike not hitting a single hero, which is what they needed. Chrono on cooldown, Invoker buyback forced out. An absolute catastrophe, though they have yet to lose the Rax.
And this has to go back to the draft. You might wonder why Liquid do not first phase an Invoker every single game. And sometimes they do when they think they're up against the wall, but good teams like Virtus Pro will take complete advantage of that. And they're like, wow, they're going to first pick an Invoker? Really?
Yeah.
And they just turn up the aggression, have super strong lanes, have a very early Roche lineup, which will force them to come out, or the alternative is to lose T2s and more fights if you don't contest the Roche.
Do want to mention, just as we haven't talked about yet, there were actually 3 buybacks that fight, with the Nyx and the Void also buying back. That's all 3 cores committing to save the Rax. So economy is in shambles now, but I mean, to your point, you know, you can kind of see on paper the potential of the Liquid lineup, where if they hit those early hooks, those Sunstrike kills happen, maybe it's a different game, but if your early game is kind of that frail and reliant on hitting unreliable spells, then, you know, it goes back to the ease of execution argument, and is a weakness of this Liquid draft that VP are able to punish.
I only see one super unusual item build, and that's a Manta first coming out from no one, but I think it's a really good build for multiple reasons. Firstly, he can Manta out of a Pudge combo, so he doesn't get dismembered and just immediately die. That will save you more times than not. Secondly, I think it's really good for pushing high ground. You have an easy disarm break that won't require you to expend get rid of the Fate's Edict. BKB, Manta, or get a Lotus Orb for your teammates, but it's way too early to count on Lotus Orb for your teammates, so having the Manta will just give him a lot more uptime and just cause a lot more chaos in the fights.
Also, nice too against the Cold Snap as well.
Yeah,
so
Cold Snap.
A pretty versatile pickup for sure. And Liquid, well, they're banking on time right now. Miracle has taken games over. They have crawled back from these types of deficits.
But he's thinking ahead, though. That's what I like about no one. He's thinking ahead. Okay, how can they possibly win this game right now? It's if we fail our high ground siege. So he's trying to shore up the only weakness that they have right now, which is being able to take towers safely and without dying and without getting chip damage.
Well, it's rapid damage, this tier 2 bottom. No one chews through it. Battle Trance now on cooldown, but VP, they'll back off. They've got a few outer towers still to knock down here, 2 in the top lane. Do you think there's a timer on their lineup, Ben? I mean, it's a huge gold lead right now.
When you have this sort of gold lead, I would say like any normal timer, like I would probably say like maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes. It was when Invoker starts being ridiculous and hits his level 25 and can start split pushing down on lanes and BKBs get low. But that is a normal situation. This is an abnormal situation in which Virtus Pro has completely run away with the lead, and you cannot. You can think ahead towards like 45, but first you have to get past the 30-minute phase and the second Roche where the Aegis Cheese might be your doom.
And I am looking at the item progression here. Matumba Man has completely stalled. At one point he was right there with the Ursa as the most farmed hero in the game, but now down at 5.7k net worth, even with a 4-position Sand King after the buyback. The Liquid Sphere incredibly delayed at this point.
And definitely no fault of his own. He's been the target of many of the static storms.
Yeah. They're going to find an opening here. They catch out Lil out in front, likely to go splat. Pasha looking to turn things around, but a good carapace, locking him down. They hook him back. He tries to run away, still chasing forward. Static Storm again, just completely shutting Matumba down. Everything Kuro can do to keep him alive. He throws in the volley of spells, but now Matumba has to run away, and he still goes pop in the end. Even when they get the clean initiation, it's VP, the Static Storm, the Disruptor plays continue to deliver.
And Link isn't going to save him from that. That's the worst part about this for Faces Void. Like, he's just constantly going to get Static Storm. Maybe you can have a defensive lookout, but that is wishful thinking. And this gold lead is pretty bad. And then these 2 towers on the left side, at least they have Chrono, so maybe they can make a play if Virtus Pro go for this T2, but
they're making their move.
They have to do something soon.
Jumping on Miracle mid. Ramsey's feeling rather confident as he struts over towards the top tier 2.
This might be the best time. They're hoping that Virtus Pro will push, and then they don't have the Aegis, they don't have a lot of their ultimates up right now. Maybe they can take a fight with this Chronosphere, but they're not pushing.
It would be ideal, and VP may have recognized that as well. So they'll temper the aggression, they'll back away, they'll go back to farming, and they'll reset.
Yep, they're in a catastrophe prevention mode. Just don't take any sort of risk that you don't need to.
At some point, they might have to take a risk, but that may not come until this next Roshan. Could be respawning in as little as 1 minute.
But when have the Chronospheres come up on Faces Void?
There was the one Sunstrike pick.
Yeah, with the one Sunstrike pick on, what, the Disruptor? That was before the first Roche.
And that was after, I think he had died earlier and just had, you know, it's 5 hero smoke gank for support.
It's just really tough. He feels the pressure on the mid lane, and he's like, okay, well, I'm their only big setup right now because Pudge and Nyx were still trying to get their levels, and then he has to TB mid, but how long has he just had this plain Perseverance? He even has to switch from the Perseverance into the Blink Dagger. Like, even if they manage to win a team fight, you can't farm with these items, and they're just looking for that one fight. It doesn't matter what it takes, just win this one fight, and then they can think about later in the game.
And if it's only the Void initiation, the Glimpse can just be so punishing to turn things around as the Burrow Strike comes through. Good initiation in the mid lane, Tornado crashing as a response, and the bubble's there. The combo from Miracle, does he have the damage? Somehow Lil gets pushed out back to safety, survives through it all. Ramses does too, and now the turn from VP. The Void down and more to follow as Mind Control's on the run. Ice Wall covering his retreat, but Ramses chewing through them all. 3 drop, just like that. I think the Deafening Blast actually may have saved one VP member there. They can't even get a support kill.
That was actually a perfect trap by Liquid. That was an amazing play by them, and it almost worked out. They were just a little bit too far behind. I think they had 2 of their big heroes stuck inside a Chronosphere at the start of the fight. That could have been disastrous. Losing Ursa right there, perhaps Roshan would have respawned in 8 minutes, and then they would have been able to take Aegis immediately after. Liquid are doing the necessary steps and preparation to get themselves back in the game, but sadly, they don't have enough damage right now because Void has nothing.
And good news for Liquid, silver lining, Roche will not respawn until that Chrono is up. But I don't know if they take that fight even then. That was, what more can you really ask for out of an initiation? They hit the full Invoker combo with the Chrono.
They had the false promise immediately out of the stun on the Void to turn around with the Chrono. That's about as picture perfect as it gets for Liquid.
They just don't have any other damage to dump into it, really. What is it, a Nyx Impel, a Mana Burn, Oracle's underwhelming.
Have Pudge inside there with Rot? Easy.
It's not good. The damage feels lacking right now for Liquid. And that's going to only get worse. With Ramses about to grab a BKB, no one continuing to pile on the stats item. BKB of his own, only about 800 gold away. So you're all magic damage really for Liquid right now with the Void's lack of farm, the Invoker still not really much of a right clicker, and they're about to get BKBs.
I still see some things missing actually from Virtus Pro. The Glimmer Cape Solar Crest combo that is like almost foolproof for sieging high ground. That's like one of the best combinations to siege high ground, along with like the Manta style Aegis and Cheese. So you want to go for this like ideal 5-man push when you have all the items and you can just straight 5-on-5 tank them. But there is still that small risk of someone dying into a Chronosphere or even getting hooked in, like we saw the Ursa die before. Ursa does not have BKB yet, and this might be the last draw for Liquid as they smoke outside of their base. Chrono is up.
They come marching in, and it's right into a dire scan. Solo springs the trap, Static Storm, back wall as well, and now lunging forward, Matumba tries to cut them off, he drops the bubble, but he's in all kinds of trouble. Decent job of stalling things out against Ramses, but Miracle now, he went for the flag, it'll pay with his life, and VP clean up again and look for more, purging Kuro, running the Oracle down. Bet you didn't see this one coming, says no one. 4 fall, VP. It just might be GG any minute. This is an overwhelming gold advantage. Ramses knows it too. He's diving tier 4 towers, Ben.
Yep, trying to just admire VP's domination on this entire game.
Buying back, doing what they can to hold the line. Liquid about to be quelched.
The early game maneuver, I think, from Lil is actually the thing I think that won them the game in the early game. The Pudge was running around, but he didn't actually have any kill potential in the lanes because he can't kill a Darkseer. Darkseer can just surge out. So,
and VP also had a great ward. Darkseer knew he was bottom. He didn't even come to the lane.
Right. And he, I think, like from the 0 to like 4 minutes, all he did was steal the 2-minute bounty rune on Virtus Pro side, and that's pretty much it. And he was trying to do way too much. He actually sapped a lot of Invoker's experience in the mid lane. I think if he had like try to mirror the movements of Lil and just protect the Invoker instead of actually playing aggressively, just play more reactively because it's so difficult for them to get the kill. Unless, of course, you go for the very, very high percentage hook plays that perhaps would have yielded an early kill. But the early game just went way too poorly for them, and this is how Virtus Pro chose to deal with the Invoker draft. Just run at them with a very solid laner in the bottom lane, the Darkseer, and then put too much pressure on the Invoker for
the siege coming. This Matumba jumps in, feeding his life away. VP instantly reacting to that gift. Now looking for Rax. They've taken down the melee. They turn onto the ranged. Liquid, no chrono to set things up. It hasn't mattered when they had it anyway. Now jumping GH, finally finds his opening, but Ramses just tanks through it, turning again once more into the meat grinder. It's just too much from VP. This is almost unthrowable. They can just click their way towards the enemy fountain. These carries hit so hard.
Nice Sunstrike from Liquid to finish off the Ursa kill. Ursa was in position of the cheese no longer, and Troll had the Aegis, so that was a small window that Miracle did identify and swoop down upon. However, that is pretty much the only opportunity that they're going to get, as one lane of Rax has already fallen. The net worth is 25,000. That is, as you put it, near unthrowable. Or unthrowable. They click your way down.
Some have called them Virtus Throw, so we won't call it over yet. But this VP normally has shown a killer instinct, and occasionally when it's a somewhat close game, they'll get a little sloppy. But this is like one of their more disciplined performances. Ben,
they're still spreading out. You can still tell, like, even though Void didn't have buyback, even though Void was dead, and it would take him, you know, he has to buy back and then TP in and then time walk in and Chronosphere. That's like what, 3.5 seconds. They still didn't take any chances and just did not line up at all, did not clump at all, split siege these towers to make sure that Liquid cannot get back in.
VP on the hunt. There's a blink, a no on the defusal level 2, and he jumps right in, gets the bash with GH. See you later, Bubba. Now on to Kuro as well. BKB available if he wants to die for this. Kuroki not long for this world. Tries with the false promise to keep himself alive with the burrow string. Is there a good carapace to counter? Miracle, where's the damage? They got to dump it into this chrono, and they do! They roast them inside. Scorpion down. Cone had 2, but it doesn't seem to matter. The carries are here, and VP overwhelmed Liquid. A team wipe conclusion. Didn't feel close for much of this game.
A mismatch of play styles, I would say. You do not want to lose the lanes against Virtus Pro. They are one of the teams that have, they carry momentum the strongest, I think, especially when they pick early game heroes like Ursa. I think it's probably one of their most picked heroes, and they're pretty much the only team that's picking them at this tournament, but it just suits their style so well, and you have to reevaluate the Faceless Void Invoker first phase.
I mean, one thing that I know a lot of us have been talking about during the games was like when Liquid needs a win on a big crucial match, it's like, all right, let's just pick Miracle Invoker and we'll just hope it goes late. But VP were ready for that. It's kind of reminiscent of some of the old Chinese teams would like just pick anti-mage and try to win that way, but you know it's coming, and if you know it's coming, you can punish it.
I think they actually need first save of Elder Titan. I think that hero doesn't require that much farm, and it can also stall out the Roach, which Virtus Pro is seemingly reliant on. It didn't really get to that point where they actually needed Aegises to win, but in a tighter match where they draft less greedily, I think it could be their avenue to victory.
Well, any final thoughts here, Ben? It's game one.
That was a stomp through and through.
Mental game will be important now for Liquid.
Again, the Elder Titan, less greedy heroes. Make sure you show up to their lanes and have GH on something that he can do something with.
All right, folks, that wraps it up for game number one. It's all VIRTUS Pro here, both in terms of volume as well as Dota. Stick around. Game 2 is coming up next.
Step one in the right direction for Virtus Pro as they pick up a very convincing win, one of the more convincing wins we've actually seen in Moscow, this time in front of the home crowd. I'm sure they are going to be feeling fantastic. And now, joining us on the panel, we've gone for a much more Danish version of Winter. Misery is joining us. And we say Misery loves company. He's joined by Fogged and Purge. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah? You did a little signing session today?
Yeah.
Get to see some fans?
It was during the match, so there wasn't that many.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I guess we're also losers here, so I mean, I won't blame them.
Losers,
for not
your words, not ours. But you joined us to watch that game, and it's going to be great to hear your insight. Stomp is the discussion that's been started by the casters.
Yeah.
You, however, felt like there was still hope, light at the end of the tunnel during some of those moments.
I thought draft-wise they were fine. Yeah. I don't think they have to change that much. I think they just they just have to get used to playing on the stage against the home crowd. Yeah. Like they start dying and maybe they get a little bit tilted, but in reality their draft is fine. And I think if the game goes a little bit later and they don't feed so many kills, probably they're gonna end up winning because they have so many ways of saving against Ursa and Troll and stuff like that. So I think they just need to get their composure together and just kind of keep doing the same thing. I don't know if they need to change that many things. Maybe the 4 position could be a different hero than Pudge. But I think it comes down to all these early fights around mid lane where they threw away a lot of deaths, and Invoker was actually fine. Maybe they should have put Oracle against the Daxia a bit more and shut him down. Yeah.
Okay, now I mean, the question that I think we have to start with for you, Fogged, is there's the Void. The Void having absolutely very, very little item or money throughout the start of that game.
They really pressured all the lanes.
What happened to it?
When I was just looking at their draft, I was just like, that
was loud.
Wow.
That was extremely loud. Anyway.
It's like a flashbang.
I have no idea what I was saying now. They had a little bit of a greedy draft, in my opinion, in comparison to VP, and VP is one of those super fast-paced teams. Yeah. They just constantly ran at them. I love the way that Lil played, starting in the mid lane and really just pressuring Miracle, because Miracle was the only damage that they actually have inside of the Chrono in this game.
Sure.
But I like the point that Misery made, though. I think that their draft overall was fine. It just a couple missed hooks in the beginning of the game really sets them back. Like this fight right here, he missed actually hooks on a stun target. A couple kills would have been nice there. But they don't really have other type of damage inside that Chronosphere. It's very reliant on Miracle having a very good game.
And I think a lot of that comes down to the Pudge pick, because if you have Chronosphere, you need to get a kill every single time you use it. It's a very long cooldown, and like Misery said, they definitely needed to die less, but they needed to get more kills. This is the one that really should have been a death, but Pudge doesn't have very good follow-up, especially when no one has a illusion rune there to block hooks. So because he didn't die and Chronosphere was used, that means Matumbo Man, a fairly low damage hero compared to most, still ends up farming really slowly, and that absolutely affected them as well.
A lot of credit was given ahead of this game to the Mr. No One in the mid lane, Misery. Do you hold him in high regard as well?
Oh, of course. I mean, Virtus Pro, you know, not to say anything bad about Liquid, it's hard to play against Virtus Pro. Like they're just playing their heroes. Like they don't care. They're not changing anything. We've seen them play this type of lineup like over and over and over, and they just have just enough heroes that you just can't ban all of them.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like it's hard to play against the style.
They always get what
they want to fight you, and if you give them any opportunity, they will glimpse you back and they will catch you, and then you try to help out this Nyx assassin early on. You die with another hero and then like we see here, you know, it's just one small step up, and then they just take advantage of it completely, really fast. I think maybe when you want to first pick Void like this, you should consider removing Daxia in first 2, potentially, because it's a really rough matchup. Void does not kill creeps whatsoever, and like Daxia kind of, you know, pushes in the wave constantly to this Void, and he actually can't, you know, pressure at all. Same goes, like, even though they have Oracle, it's just not good enough, I think. So I think maybe that's the issue here, that they can't do the split push because the Daxia keeps pushing in the bottom lane and they feel pressured there.
Right.
But usually you want to, like, Liquid wants to not take any fights, kind of just dodge, maybe lose a Pudge here or there, lose an Oracle here or there, while this Invoker is top net worth, and, you know, the Void is splitting and the Nyx is scouting for Invoker and Void and stuff like that. But Daxia kind of pushes out the lanes too fast for them to deal with.
I was thinking maybe like if they do want to do like the first 2 Void as well, like taking out, if they do give this Darkseer, which I never really like when people give VP Darkseer. I think it's actually like Pasha's best hero and their best hero that they play around.
Sure.
Is to get rid of the Disruptor, because it's not even just like the ultimate thing. Sure, the ult is amazing versus Void, but the frequency that you can take fights and get people out of position. It's because ideally, like you're saying, they want to like split push. We didn't really see the glimpse like that many times for these like kind of like pullbacks when someone's split pushing, but it just lets you take fights over and over and over again. And Liquid really needed to stall this game out as long as possible. I also felt they lacked a bit of like deep push in their lineup when they're playing versus VP. I'm sure they didn't see the troll till much later, but they literally have like no like actual like creep killing heroes.
Right.
It's like actually it's like Nyx stun or something.
I agree. I think this Disruptor Daxia combo is definitely, like, you can remove one of them and then it's easier to deal with, for sure. Like, if you ban out the Daxia, then Pasha usually plays Sanking or Centaur or something, and it's a lot more slow and it's a lot easier, at least early game, to deal with. And then maybe you can play out your Invoker Void strategy way easier. So I think probably I would suggest banning Daxia, but I mean they might just have something else planned for it. But I don't think Void is very good.
So what would you let slip the net? I mean, it was Night Stalker.
They banned Night Stalker and Treant, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe you have to play against this Night Stalker.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like VP even would draft it first 2. I think it would be. I mean, they might, but I think it's pretty rare they would first 2 Night Stalker. But they will always first face Daxia. Every time. So.
Pasha too strong. Take away number 1.
That's when I saw that though. Like I saw like Liquid had first pick, and I thought they were actually going to grab the Darkseer for themselves, and then they first picked the Void. I was just like, they have one of the best Darkseer players, and they play the best around that Darkseer as well. Like he's probably like top 2 for me with the Darkseers for Liquid for my control.
I think what you can see from their typical draft so is they're very teamfight focused in how they pick their heroes, and in this game as well. Like the Pudge did fit into their lineup because it could have offset whatever the Disruptor does, but the next problem was it didn't help them get kills if the hooks are missed, and they didn't have any other damage to make up for that, unless they ended up getting kills along the way or having a good game, which was difficult against VP. So just made the game hard.
It's the second time we've seen GH try and pull up the Pudge, at least on the mainstream, and neither time it's found success. Is it?
He had one good one, I think, but he had another one that went really bad, but they still won. And yeah, it's a little bit.
Do you think it's a kind of a support that's hard to justify, given that there's others out there that?
It's easy to justify, but you always have to follow it up with a sense of if you land your hooks.
It's always a big if.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the Pudge is fine. Like I mean, it's a little bit funky hero. Like nobody really plays it as much as Liquid does, but I mean, they still make it work, and they don't really give up on the hero, which is really cool to see. Like even if it fails at one game, I mean, we might see them pick Pudge again now. Like I don't think they can blame the Pudge here. I think like if we go back to this Daxia again, the problem with giving VP Daxia is that then your second phase ban becomes so hard because, like in this case, they picked the Sanking, right? But they can also pick Slaughter with it. They can pick Clockwork with it. They can pick, you know, some Spirit Breaker maybe with it. There's just so many heroes that go well with it, and you kind of can't ban them all. And the same goes for their, you know, their other cores. They just always work well with Daxia. These Ursas, you can shell them. You can. I think there's going to be some some troll or shelled. You know, it just works really well for VP's playstyle. But like you said as well, like Liquid also plays Darkseer first too, very frequently. So we might see them not ban it, but you know, try and pick it up this time.
So that's going to be our biggest question coming into that draft, is just what happens to Darkseer? Does it end up back into that second game? I do want to kind of take an external perspective away from the hero draft for a moment and just like talk about playing on a stage like that, because you very recently have played on stages like that. And I mean, how much does it impact your gameplay? Genuinely.
I think it's always going to be hard, even if you go out and you mentally prepare yourself. It's like you can hear the crowd through your microphone. There's no booth here or anything, so there's just noise and noise and noise, and it's very hard. At the majors and stuff, there's always a booth, so there's like kind of silence. You don't get the same feeling.
Right.
Where here you're playing as the home crowd by far, and yeah, it's very difficult. And you're also playing a team just a little bit, then you're gonna get punished. But I think what they need to do is just maybe start slowly, not try to kill this troll mid, but like wait for VP to run at you, and then try to counteract and blink. No, start slower and work your way through to play. You know, like
we often at the panel have kind of had a discussion that it's better to be proactive than reactive. But are you suggesting perhaps in this instance it's better to let VP make the first move?
Potentially, I mean, I don't say they should be super passive or something like that, but just maybe they don't need to go for these kills on troll mid lane. They don't need to go for these high risk, like medium reward plays, you know, before later on in the game when they are the ones that should feel like they're not on a timer. VP should feel like they're on a timer. They don't, because they play these lineups over and over against anything, so they don't care. But Liquid should not feel like they're on a timer. They should take it easy and play like slow. Take
it easy, get Miracle Fat.
Yes, ideally.
Play according to the draft, right? Like, especially with that one, they've got some like Void Invoker, super kind of combo-y lineup that they need to just take it late, but you can't versus.
I imagine it's quite difficult to take it late versus Virtus Pro.
Yeah, especially in that type of like aggressive form, just with like Troll and Ursa, with like 3 heavy team fight heroes as well. They can always just like go for Roche, and it's just like we have to wait to be able to contest that one. We have to see exactly where they are in order to take those fights.
They need to get to play Dota. I don't think they felt like they played Dota that game. You know, they just kind of died, just ran over, and they never got to play their lineup. They never got to use smokes and chrono some guy and back off, you know, do these normal Dota plays. So I think they need to get to not just late game, but to early mid game and mid game without being, you know, fucked everywhere.
They need to play Dota.
Yeah.
Kevin, I see you smile, like a creep on your face.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those games where you know that the team lost really badly, and you know there's going to be people that post on Reddit like, oh, Liquid are so bad right now. But it was just the issue that the game got a little out of hand. If they got 2 or 3 more kills, maybe died 2 times less as well, it would have been a 40 to 60 minute game most likely. And like Misery said, you would have seen stuff like that that allows them to do these late game moves. But they just made a couple too many mistakes early, and VP's lineup was great at just ending the game.
Masters of kind of putting salt into the wound, you know, just making exacerbating things and making things a whole lot worse much quicker than other teams do. Virtus Pro go up against Liquid in the second instance of the draft in just a moment, but we can continue to kind of understand and dissect why Virtus Pro are as good as they are. A team you've, of course, had the occasions. Do you find them at one of the hardest teams to kind of understand their gameplay? A lot of people in the interviews are suggesting that they play very differently to other teams at the top.
I don't know. I mean, of course, they play differently. Every team has their own style, right?
Sure.
But what VP are good at is just keep doing the same thing, and they're so confident in it, and you know what they're gonna do, but it's still, you still have to like beat it. And like every time you play against them, they just draft the same, and they basically tell you, show us what you got, beat it. Beat our strategy.
Show me what you got.
And it's hard. It is. They're fast. They don't hit neutrals. They move fast. They smoke fast. They keep going. And it's the same thing. Like they're gonna play against anything, and they won't feel like they're on a timer. Like a lot of teams, when they play these Ursas and stuff, they'll start doing these they will overextend with this Ursa because they feel like, oh shit, we're losing now. Like this Invoker is getting fat or something. They don't. They just keep farming. They will get the 6-slot Ursa as well, and they will fight you late game as well if you keep playing
Understood.
I think, like,
level.
I think, like you said it before too. It's like they do like the same thing, but they have substitutes for each individual thing, and that's why it's so hard to actually like ban and play versus just hero.
You mean substitute heroes?
Yeah, substitute heroes. Yeah, like it's like okay, you ban the Sand King, Slardar. Oh, you ban this, like Darkseer. They go for Magnus or.
But I mean, their mid lane has been very diverse, wouldn't you say? Like, I mean, you've seen from Troll to OD to Bristle.
They're very right-click focused usually.
Yeah, it's a lot of physical damage usually. But I think the cool thing as well is that their strategies don't vary so much, even though the patch has changed like 2 or 3 times since we saw their strategies in the beginning. It's like they just keep playing the same stuff. A lot of teams are switching up their strategies, their main strategies and stuff, but VP, they keep playing Ursa. They keep playing Disruptor and Daxia and Wisp and Treant and stuff.
So in summary, if you think about it, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result.
I think
so. Technically, Virtus Pro are insane.
I mean,
they keep getting the win. They keep doing the same thing.
I think a lot of the teams that are having success are the ones that are confident enough to keep picking the same stuff over and over. And like you see OG and some. Like, let's say OG, for example, they have played a lot of Terrorblade, they've played a lot of Naga, they've played a lot of Alchemist for 2 years or something. And you still had to respect it, you still had to ban it, you still had to prepare against it every time, every tournament. They keep they keep pulling it back with these heroes. And it's a long time, a lot of nerfs, a lot of change to the game, and they keep making it work.
And keep in mind that the nerfs are always going to be against the teams that win. Therefore, if OG always gets first, VP hits this like high mid area,